Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. Trinidad and Tobago has been recognized internationally for its fight against money laundering. Soca Warriors ready to kick off Gold Cup campaign. And CARICOM Heads of Government meeting comes to a close. In our top story, CARICOM Chairman and Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, Kamla Bissessar, says the 34th Heads of Government meeting has brought about the resolution to a number of issues, including the start of many new ones.
Prime Minister and Chair of CARICOM Heads of Government Conference, Kamla Bissessar, closed off the 34th meeting by noting a number of agreements have been reached on forwarding the region's economic growth. Speaking at a press conference held prior to closing the event, the Prime Minister says steps will be taken to remove any barriers in competitive trade and production in the region.
In accordance with that strategic approach, Heads of Government agreed to the following. To the immediate 1, design and execution of a resource mobilization strategy to facilitate targeted interventions by governments to catalyze and ignite growth in the CARICOM states. Secondly, adoption of a stabilization and growth agenda which emphasizes removal of constraints on competitive production as well as proactive facilitation and support for the private sector aimed at catalyzing growth in critical economic sectors. Heads of Government also agreed that the Bureau of the Conference would be charged with the responsibility of advancing this decision, and in this regard the Secretariat would circulate a comprehensive program within 1 month for the consideration of member states.
Mrs. Persad says heads also agreed to the reintroduction of a single domestic space for travel.
On the issue of transportation in the region, Heads of Government agreed to the reintroduction of the single domestic space in the interest of hassle-free travel in the region and mandated the CARICOM Secretariat in collaboration with CARICOM Impacts and other relevant agencies to coordinate and commence discussions on the strategy for the reintroduction of the single domestic space. We did spend a lot of time. There was a great discussion on the discussion, first of all, was a need for improvements in transport, both air and sea, within the region. And we spent quite some time on that discussion. In terms of the way forward, we have asked the Bureau, we've referred it back to the Bureau for further discussions on specific items relating to transport.
Would the specific items be, for example, things like subsidy?
Specific items included, yes, what is the so-called fuel hedge or so-called fuel subsidy? Yes, it did.
She says the 40th anniversary held much significance to the regional heads as it represented a recommitment to the integration process.
We remain dedicated to the ideals of our founders for the integration of our economies and our people of the Caribbean region, that we recognize the invaluable contributions made by CARICOM nationals over the years in numerous areas, including education, health, security, foreign policy, sports, arts, literature, and cultural development, amongst others, that we are resolute in our determination to further enhance our tradition for united action as we strive to propel our community to achieve sustained economic and social development in securing increased global competitiveness for our respective member states and to secure a higher standard of living for all our peoples.
Prime Minister Persad says consensus was met on creating a collective agreement on persons with disabilities and special needs for the region. She added that the issue of regional security was addressed as the head of Interpol met with CARICOM leaders on establishing headquarters here in Trinidad and Tobago.
And 95% of those present voted in favor of establishing an Interpol liaison office with impacts. This is with a view to later transforming it into a regional subdirectorate or sub-regional bureau. The net effect of this will be greater access to Interpol databases by CARICOM Impacts and therefore to the CARICOM. And so we welcome this move. As you know, Impacts is headquartered here in Port of Spain, and this will certainly help us with our security agenda, citizen security and safety.
The matter of culture was also raised with regards to the hosting of Carifta later this year in Suriname. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
The visit of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro during CARICOM Heads of Government meeting has signaled the need to revise current relations with the South American state. Chair of CARICOM Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Bissessar, described the meeting as fruitful and looks forward to further deepening talks.
A possible reactivation of the Venezuela and CARICOM agreement on trade activity has emerged from the visit of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro during the 34th CARICOM Heads of Government meeting here in Trinidad and Tobago. Addressing the media on the outcome of the visit, CARICOM Chair and Prime Minister Kamla Bissessar expressed the Venezuelan President's hopes of strengthening economic ties once again with the region.
His Excellency President Maduro proposed the reactivation of the joint CARICOM Venezuela Commission based on the long-standing trade and investment agreement, which could lead to increased trade, investment, and economic and other activities. In this regard, several proposals were put forward, touching on inter alia security, air and sea transport, energy, a social and cultural plan, and this involved areas to do with education and health, as well as for the development of a social and cultural plan to include other areas, and developing ties between CARICOM and Mercosur.
The Prime Minister says the meeting will look at deepening energy relations with neighboring Venezuela.
We've come a long way with it. I'm advised there's about 10 TCF of gas in Block E in the Laurel Manatee field. I'm advised that out of that 7 point something goes to Venezuela, and 2 point something TCF comes to Trinidad and Tobago. I'm being advised that there are other fields. So there's a Block E, and they are doing a survey at the moment to ascertain how much TCF is there in those other fields. But with respect to that first Block E, this is the position. Further, we were supposed to put a committee in place from a joint commission, Venezuela, Trinidad and Tobago. That has now been established. So on the 23rd, we will share some more about it.
However, she noted that Venezuela will hold talks with Trinidad and Tobago on a subsequent date in July.
With respect to Trinidad and Tobago, we have agreed for a meeting to be convened in Trinidad and Tobago with representatives from Venezuela on or about the 23rd of July, later this month.
The last agreement signed with the Caribbean Community CARICOM and the government of the Republic of Venezuela on trade and investment dates back to October 1992. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
Trinidad and Tobago has been recognized internationally for its fight against money laundering and terrorist financing. The Finance Intelligence Unit in particular has been lauded for its significant strides in addressing white-collar crimes.
Finance Minister Senator the Honorable Larry Hawaii has revealed this country is now part of the Egmont Group of Financial Intelligence Units. The group was started in 1995 when FIUs from various countries met at the Egmont Aringbert Palace in Belgium and decided to establish a group which will cooperate across international borders to battle serious financial crimes. The group has evolved now to include the financial intelligence units of 140 countries, known as the Egmont Group of Financial Intelligence Units. The members all exchange information, training, and share expertise so as to provide a forum for FIUs around the world to improve cooperation in the fight against money laundering and the financing of terrorism. In a press release, Minister Hawaii says TNT's admission into the Egmont Group gives international recognition to this country's financial intelligence unit and creates the conditions for the FIU to become more effective, as it can now obtain information easier from cooperating countries. Minister Hawaii believes that admittance into the Egmont Group is a strong signal of this government's commitment to fostering and strengthening the financial integrity of Trinidad and Tobago, both in the local and international arena. The finance minister indicates the country's membership in the Egmont Group is just a part of his vision to build a strong regulatory environment to prevent the reoccurrence of a crisis similar to the Clico meltdown. He adds this new membership will assist him in his ministry's goal to enable the building of a strong and resilient financial services sector that would add meaningful jobs to the local economy and position Trinidad and Tobago as a regional financial center. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Up next, Education Minister received World Education Congress Award. Stay with us. Welcome back. Education Minister Dr. Tim Gopi Singh has been awarded with the most outstanding contribution to education from the World Education Congress. Minister Gopi Singh received the award in Mumbai, India.
Education Minister Dr. The Honorable Tim Gopi Singh has received an award for outstanding contribution to education during the second World Education Congress WEC held in Mumbai, India. The TNT Education Minister was praised for his forward-thinking approach to universal early childhood and care education and for his ministry's utilization of best practice methods and strategies. The World Education Congress was recently commissioned and comprises of international leaders and government ministers in education, with participants this year discussing evolving trends in education. In delivering his address to the conference, Dr. Gopi Singh spoke on the influence of the evolving culture and educational pedagogy with the objective of deep systematic change. He referred to the initiatives undertaken by the Ministry of Education within the past 3 years in areas such as information and communications technology, curriculum reform, special needs education, early childhood care and education, school-based management, and teacher training and development. Aimed at examining modern as well as traditional knowledge system, the 2013 Congress this year explored how education can help develop mental, emotional and physical skills to facilitate personal excellence as well as psychological and socio-economic well-being, given the challenges which countries all over the world face today. Government ministers in attendance at this year's Congress included Dr. Gopi Singh of Trinidad and Tobago, with counterparts from a number of countries, amongst which were Samoa, Libya, Afghanistan, and the Republic of Maldives. Several other countries, including Burundi, Saudi Arabia, and Botswana, were also represented at a Congress by senior government officials, joined by acclaimed educators and business leaders from top higher learning institutions and global corporations from developed nations such as India, the United States, South Africa, and Malaysia. The conference offers networking opportunities together with in-depth approaches aimed at understanding important academic issues that affect an institution's viability in today's fast-paced business environment. Kimberly Calawan, News 4.
Fishermen of Matlat and Grand Riviere have been given compensation for damage to their boats and nets caused by horrible weather conditions. Minister of Food Production, Senator the Honorable Devant Maharaj, is personally ensuring the checks are given to the distressed fishermen.
Food Production Minister Senator the Honorable Devant Maharaj says the government is committed to the growth of the agricultural sector. He makes this pledge as he awards checks to fishermen on behalf of the ministry. The ministry, along with Member of Parliament for Toko Sangre Grande, Dr. the Honorable Rupert Griffith, advocated for the fishermen to be compensated for losses suffered during bad weather conditions last year. The fishermen received approximately $2 million total in compensation. Minister Maharaj says this compensation is all part of the government's drive to improve the level of local food production.
We are committed to a holistic development of the Ministry of Food Production and the agriculture sector, and we have engaged in a number of activities to address the neglect of the last decade, and we are seeing an impact. When we came into office in May 2010, food inflation was 29%. Today, the central bank says food inflation is 9%. It has dropped by 20%. When we came into office in May 2010, the growth in the agricultural sector was negative 32. Today, according again to the central bank, it is plus 2.6.
Minister Maharaj's sentiments are echoed by MP for the area, Dr. Rupert Griffith. Dr. Griffith believes the Minister of Food Production is eager to provide the infrastructure necessary for the growth and revival of the fishing industry along the northern coast.
We have already done some work in Grand Riviere. There's some minor work to be done still, but we opened pretty much refurbished fishing depot, and I understand that the fisher folks are a lot more happy now than what they had before. We are currently exploring work with Matlot. We have done some work in Salibe, and we have plans to refurbish all 9 fishing depots in Toko Sandy Grande. And I tell you, with the effort and the understanding of this minister, it was only a matter of time before we complete all 9 fishing depots in Toko Sandy Grande.
Meanwhile, Minister Maharaj commends the fishermen for coming to him and their MP to have the problem addressed.
I appreciate the method and approach of the fishermen in how they handle this. I have had instances across this country where the first time I am hearing about a complaint is when fellas protesting. And I have said repeatedly, if there's an issue, communicate through the right channel.
Fishermen who have not yet collected their checks can visit the office of the MP located at number 238 Eastern Main Road, Sangre Grande, between the hours of 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. to collect their check. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Residents of Tabaquite can now see the light at the end of the tunnel, or rather, the light at the recreational ground, as TNTEC's public lighting program recently concluded another project in that area.
TNTEC's continuing work to improve the lives of all our customers is a way of life for every single employee. In fact, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. describes life's most persistent and urgent question as, what are you doing for others? We at TNTEC respond to this question every day. Every linesman, clerk, engineer, driver, and trainer plays a significant role in improving the lives of the citizens of our country by delivering service of the highest standard to you.
Speaking at the lighting up ceremony at the Guaracara Recreational Ground at Tabaquite, TNTEC's chairman said the public lighting program was positively impacting on the health of residents across Trinidad and Tobago. She said the lights will serve to enhance the lives of those who use the recreational ground and explained that the installation of lights almost doubles the opportunities for recreational activities and exercise. Member of Parliament for the area, Dr. Suraj Ratan Ramachan, shared similar sentiments and went a step further by stating that further upgrades to the ground would be undertaken.
These lights are not just about cricket and football. These lights are about a healthy lifestyle. And they are transforming the way people are dealing with their health issues by being able to walk. The next thing we have to do on this ground, of course, is put a jogging track so that people can walk around this track as we go along. And that will in fact happen.
Minister Ramachan said a number of grounds in his constituency had been lit since he assumed office as Member of Parliament for the area. Perhaps
my constituency might have most of its grounds now lit up. Springlands ground, Springvale ground, Tabaquite, Brothers Road ground, Surprise ground, Charles Street South, which was done by the corporation, and of course now Guaracara Recreation Ground, which has lights, and Pune Recreation Ground.
Speaking on behalf of the Minister of Public Utilities, technical advisor to the Minister of Public Utilities, Terence Duran, explained the need for an impactful response to the many health issues facing this country.
The lights that we are about to turn on will enable you to do just that. You can come here and walk or play early in the morning or late in the evening without fearing much for your safety. Nighttime events such as tournaments, matches, or even religious festivals can now be held here under the lights. Increased opportunities for training and practice can only result in better players. And so, in the not too distant future, I hope to hear about a young Dwayne Bravo or Adrian Barrett coming from this area. We at the Ministry of Public Utilities appreciate the significant changes that these lights can bring to your community life.
The installation of the lights at the ground came at a cost of $1.4 million due to the size of the ground and the project, and was fully funded by the Ministry of Public Utilities. In the first half of 2013, more than $6 million had been spent on similar projects throughout the country. That figure rises to over $10 million for the 6-month period, with the funds spent on the street lighting program and the lighting of other public spaces. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Up next, Soca Warriors ready to start Gold Cup campaign. Stay with us. Welcome back. Trinidad and Tobago senior men's football team kick off their Concacaf Gold Cup campaign today. The Soca Warriors are in Group B alongside Honduras, Haiti and El Salvador, whom they face off against tonight. News 4 Sports correspondent Wayne Cunningham reports from New Jersey, where he is covering the team's progress.
With Honduras and Haiti waiting in the wings, Trinidad and Tobago will be hoping for all 3 points versus El Salvador when they kick off that match on Monday at the Red Bull Arena in New Jersey. Denzel Theobald, the captain of the team, is confident that they will achieve that goal.
We had the fair results against them in the past, and we're looking forward on Monday against El Salvador to begin the tournament on a fantastic note, to ease the pressure as well of us coming out of the group. So all our energies is just focused on Monday versus El Salvador.
Coach Stephen Hart is also focused on the future and not looking back at past achievements or disappointment.
The atmosphere has been fantastic in the group. The training has gone as well as anybody can ask for, and I think there's just an eagerness and an anticipation of the games ahead. More so, it's an analytical opportunity to see exactly where the country stands in Concacaf, and then to build for the upcoming World Cup qualifications in 2018. You can't. One thing I know: the past doesn't come back. So we will. This for us is our starting point.
I'm Wayne Cunningham in New Jersey at the Concacaf Gold Cup for News 4 Sports.
Thank you, Wayne Cunningham. When we come back, CARICOM farewell ceremony. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. The Diplomatic Center provided the perfect space to host the farewell ceremony for the visiting CARICOM members. And while the regional heads dined, they were entertained by a mix of local talent.
It was a bittersweet end to the 34th regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community on Saturday evening at the Diplomatic Center. The farewell ceremony was hosted by Prime Minister, the Honorable Kamla Bissessar, and was viewed as an end to the meeting, but the start of a new journey for CARICOM members in a number of areas. The dinner provided regional dignitaries with another opportunity to share in casual conversation, strengthen relations, network, and even reflect on the previous week in Trinidad and Tobago. Local talent was on display, representing a true mix of culture and entertainment. Chutney singer Ravi B donned a black suit befitting the occasion and delivered a performance that mirrored Trinidad and Tobago's diversity.
One nation, sweet salvation.
A specially choreographed performance then followed.
The Ganges has made the night. Oh, yeah, yeah. The Ganges has made the night. Oh, sing it! No. Let's have a good.
Calypsonian Dennis Plummer delivered an energetic piece that had everyone tapping their toes and singing along.
Let's have a good time. High note now, come on.
The CARICOM meeting came to a resounding end, with all regional heads initially receiving a warm Trini welcome and then the send-off. Among the topics discussed in Port of Spain were economic growth, disabilities, genocide and slavery reparations, the reactivation of the joint CARICOM Venezuela Commission, the Dominican Republic's request for membership of the community, and CARIFESTA. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.